All right, everybody, welcome for another exciting day of trading or sideways trading, and a lot of pain and torture here that's been going on. So let's just kind of dig in right here. I'm going to bring us down to the 6 hour. All right, there we go. Going to pop everything up here. So down here on the 6 hour, we do have a lot of resistance, and we're just going through all of this on our. We're just going through all of this on the in the members area, and we're just saying there's a ton of resistance right here. 6,500. Oh, don't be slow, computer. 6,500 range right here. 6,580 to 65. Basically 6,580 to. I'm sorry, 6,280 to 6250-ish. Now let's go ahead. I just kind of want to zoom through these candles and take a look at these candles real quick. Now we have been expecting a bounce here. We were all expecting a bounce, and so I had this, I had this bouncing. I mean, I still thought this could get up here to 62, up into this resistance level here. You have a lot of resistance, a lot of confluence up here, right under 6,300. Now, let's take a look at these candles. This is super, super important. I just want to go through the daily candles real quick, and let's see where we're at, because we should have started a brand new, let's see if we started a new 3-day. Nope. So the 3-day is still chucking along. Let's see if we get a new 2-day candle. All right, so we do have a brand new 2-day candle. Okay, so this brand new 2-day candle should have, and I'm going to go over here. So you got this brand new 2-day candle that you got. You got this big spinning top. So you got this reversal candle, spinning top-ish candle. I wish it would have closed a little bit lower to give me a little bit better, just to give me a little bit better spinning top right there. I mean, I would have liked that a lot better if this thing would have closed right down here even. Now, we did get these double tweezer top candles over here. This is a bullish sign. Then got a spinning top, which is again bullish. We now have this candle, this 2-day candle. I want to really compare this. So we got a hammer, but the hammer candle right here. Looking at this hammer candle right here, it's hard to be. Now, if this was down here at the bottom of this movement right here, I would feel a whole lot better. All right, I feel if this was down here at the bottom. Now, this is creating this falling wedge pattern right here. So this is falling right here. We are moving lower on the daily. You can see, so we kind of have this pattern playing out where it is moving lower. Now this is possibly can bounce back up and be a reversal. Let's bring that up over here. I want to pull up my cheat sheets on my reversals. All right, so here's my reversal cheat sheet here. So here you go. You see how this is opening up like this? So it looks like a bullish expanding triangle as it's dropping down right here. All right, and so we have this bullish expanding triangle that's dropping down. Now this is bullish, and there's a lot of bullish signs right here. Now we have dropped an absolute insane amount. Right, and one of the things we were all talking about just recently in the group is we were trying to compare these two particular areas and where we've been before, right? And if you look, if you come back here and you get a good look, this has been a pretty straight down fall right here. I mean, we came all the way down, did hit a perfected 9, then dumped out lower. Now, we did the same thing back over here in February. So I keep comparing this to February, right? It's hard not to compare this to February because you came down, got the perfected 9, right? Bounced up, and then you came back down, right? Now I do want to add my indicators on over here. I do want to add 2 more MAs, and let me just pop these puppies up here. Sorry. I'm going to run the 10 as baby blue, and I want to run the pink as the 20. All right. All right, so you see it came down here. Now we did get this bearish 10 and 20 cross right here. You did get some action that came back up into it, right, on the 2-day. Now, we add over here. So we got the, here's your cross on the daily. So your cross happened way up here on the daily. So you got this bearish cross there, right? And I want to come over, I want to take a peek at this on the 2-day. Now, this just crossed on the 2-day. So this is brand new. This is a brand new bear cross on the 2-day chart right here. And I really want to compare this with the RSI and the Stoke, and to compare where and what is going on here compared to back in February. Let's see what we can come up with. So look, in February, they never crossed. Wow, they never crossed in February. And here they crossed. This is the last time we dropped. This was the March dump, right? They crossed, and this actually came back up, and then it came back down. Here they crossed again. So then you had them crossing one more time right here, and it was just a pure dump out of there. This is really kind of tough. This is tough to call right here using the MAs. Now, if you do look at the MAs, you see that, you got the bearish 7 and 30 cross, you got the bearish 730 cross. It was followed a few days later by the 10 and 20 cross. You got the 730 cross followed a few days later by the 10 and 20 cross. And this, you ended up with one more run down, did bounce back up into it. Now, we've fallen a long way here, right? We've come a long way. First, second. Man, it's just that we have a lot of bullish signs right here, right? We have these bullish candles. We have these bullish candles. Our RSI is still pretty high, actually. We're actually pretty high right here with our RSI, and that's one thing I was showing everybody on the daily chart. So if you come over to the daily, right, our daily is really high up here, and I like to see it touch a second time. So here you get the first time, the second time, then we're out of it, right? So we've only had one touch. See, look, one touch, two touch, and then we're out of it. One touch, two touch, and we're out of it. Right now, this was an insane dump. This is a little harder to play because, this was just absolutely the most massive dump. This is more of a controlled drop, kind of came down normal. This thing just fell out of the sky. February fell out of the sky. So looking at the last two controlled drops, we had touch, 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 and then here you haven't received that second touch yet. And that was what I was looking for. I was looking for a second touch right here that would tell me that I can actually pull a long trade, and we haven't gotten that second touch yet. Now, is this going to bounce up here and perform so like this one right here? So if you take a look here, you came down, you touched, you bounced up, and then it just tanked out. And this is really just, this would be considered just complete sideways movement right here. This is just a sideways action. Right, so you came down, you poked, got up, moved sideways, and then you've kind of the coup de grace of drops right there to just kind of finalize it out. And as you know, one of the things we look for is we look for this confluence area above the 7MA and this double or triple poke above it. So, you know, that's one thing we really have to be watching out for is for these double breaks, this prolonged period above the 7MA right here. And that's one thing I'm watching for. See, we really haven't had that yet. So you see we're staying below the 7MA, and before we do any dump, any continuation, right, we come up and we kind of park above the 7MA for a minute, park above the 7MA for a minute, and then here you go, park above the 7MA for a little while. 1, 2, 3, and then you get your final drop down. Right, so you know these are a lot higher where these happen. So here you are. Look, this continuation drop bounced off and then gave you a big tank down. This continuation drop here didn't get close. That one didn't get close. This one is much lower. So I would like to see one more touch right here before I know that we're going to get a bounce out of this, right? So I know a lot of people are thinking that, you know, you want to pull along here. I would be very cautious pulling any kind of a long trade unless you're doing a strict long scalp only, right? I would be scalping long only, okay? I want to bring another chart over, so I want to take a look at this chart over here. This has kind of been my tracking down. So we are moving inside of this parallel channel. Let me scoot that over just a little bit, make that perfect. Okay, so here we are. We have kind of scooted along, touched this, fell down, touched it again. We're coming over here. We're trying to break out of it. Now we came down and we landed on this support. Absolutely perfect, right? So we hit this support level. There was support down here, and we bounced off this support level. Now, this is totally possible to bounce out of this, and this, if we did bounce out of this, this would give us a perfect setup for our second and final drop down, right? So I'm going to go over here on the 12-hour. Oh my God, now my computer's slow. So you do have that bearish twist right there. So you do have this bearish Kumo twist. So here we are. Now, if we did come out, we're looking to break 6,300 here. Going 6,300, I would look for some sideways and up action, you know, with the top 6,500. You know, you'd come up here and test this line. So you'd be looking at about 6,500. I do want to bring up the, oh, there we are. Okay. So here is your Stoke RSI. So I want to warn everybody, this thing likes to bounce along the bottom. So you see these drops right here? This is what we were just talking about. We're just talking about this area right here, and this is called skipping along the bottom. You see we skipped a couple times, done a dive. Look, we've gone a long way up here. This is an insane amount of room we've traveled, but our price action has just barely budged, right? We're like almost 50% up, right? We're almost 50% higher of the way up here. We're at 47%, right? So we're at 47%, and this is very bearish, right? This is very bearish. You'd expect to see if we were 50% up. See, look, take a look at this. See, if you look over here and you see how this thing just moonied up, right? When this thing took off, you know, you got some nice movement out of that, right? Got some really nice movement. Now, here here's another example. Again, now you had a long run up, but look at all this price action up. You had some serious price action that ran up there. You know, we really haven't run up a long way with the price. We've only ran up 623, so we've only ran up $200 roughly. So this is $200 we've climbed up right here. And I'm looking for this to come up and peak one more time and then fall over. I'm looking for this to possibly come up one more time, and let's throw a trend line on this. Let's see if we can throw some kind of a trend line on this puppy. Maybe something like that right there. Right now, this would have been hard. It's kind of hard to run these trend lines because if you would have done the same thing, you couldn't really do it here. That would just go crazy. I mean, you can't really do that. I don't like doing this. I don't like that as much right there. Look, it did work. That does play out very nicely. I don't like that as much. But, I mean, that gives you a rough idea. You know what I'm saying? You can even bring this over like that. Something like that right there. Now remember, the way the Stoch works, remember any of these indicators that are not price action oriented, they do not leave a shadow behind, like the wick. You can see the little wick up here on the price action. That's actually a shadow of where the price went to. That doesn't work the same in the Stoch. This Stoch line can run all the way up here and then fold over, and you'll literally only think it was ever to this point right here, or it could run up, pull back, then fold over. So I'm kind of looking at something very similar to this. Now, if I would have been expecting a mooning action out of this, I would have expecting something a little more orbital where this thing just goes over and just takes off, right? This thing just goes and just rockets out of the ballpark. You know, I mean, when this thing takes off, it does like to rocket out of the ballpark. Now, we do have something we need to be very cautious of. There's my historic volatility chart. And where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? It is right here. Here we go. And oh, there it is. Sorry. All right, there we go. So here's our long and short chart right here, right? So we've got our longs and shorts. Look at the RSI on the longs. I mean, it's never been down this low. This is insanely low on the longs. So this is an extremely oversold area on the longs. The shorts have come up. They are in the overbought area. So the short RSI is in the overbought area. It is dangerous. I mean, this is dangerous to say the least. We've had a little bit of topping off right here with the actual shorts. They've kind of just leveled off a little bit. So they come up here and leveled off. Now, if you go back in time, you got to be careful looking back historically at the last time we had these big pumps and dumps when we got up into this danger zone and fell out of these of the shorts and the longs. You guys got to be careful because there's two different kinds. One is you have a short squeeze. The other one is you have a profit sell-off. So we are really high up here right now on our RSI for our short trades. We have to be super, super careful because this is where you can look for that short squeeze, and or this could peak up one more time and give us kind of it would just be basically a buy off, right? If you give one more poke up a little bit, and then to see this dump hard where let's say the price just drops right now to $50, $200, I personally would be dumping my short trades because I'd be taking the profit because I know that we would be expecting a bounce, right? So that's something you need to watch out for, is this long to short scenario right here that you're in. And that's one of the issues we have to watch out for, is watching for the short squeeze situation. Now, we just had, give me a second, let me go find this. All right, so we just had this little zinger of news just come up. So we had this come up. Somebody moved 18,454 BTC over to BitMEX. So from what we know, this all got moved over to BitMEX, and that's where we're trying to see what is going on. Now, there's a couple options with this, and one of the things we're looking at for this right here is we're looking at the situation to where this can be an actual. There's two things you could do moving this over. You can play this with leverage, and you could try to go to the moon with this with leverage, and or you could use this to start dumping on the market. So a lot of people think this is going over strictly to dump. That is not a that's not a fully true. I mean, there's a bunch of different options that could be used for. Chone, you there? Chone. I think we got Chone here somewhere. Oh, I can't hear you, buddy. Hold on a second. We got Chone. Hold on. Oh, I see you're green, but I can't hear you. Chone is under a supermodel right now. Hold on, people. She stole his microphone. No. Check. Hold on one second. Let me see what. All right, everybody. Chone is trying to figure out his sound issues, so we do have him in. He's in. If he figures out the sound issues, he'll be joining us. So I do have his audio on, so if he does jump in, he can come on in. All right, so I want to just really quick bring up the bubble charts, right? So I have made some adjustments to the bubble charts. I want to update this. All right, let me update this puppy right here. Stupid thing. Oh gosh, all right, let me bring this up. All right, so we are making a nice run up here. So I have adjusted the bullish break. I actually moved this bullish break a little bit higher. So this was lower, and the reason I set it higher was because of this peak and this peak, the last two we had right here, right? So I did make an adjustment to the chart, and let me straighten this all out. Let me pull this down. All right. Sorry, everybody. Let me just get this chart all. I know it's a mess. All right. So what I did was before I had this area a little bit lower here as a bullish break. So I had this down here, right? And what I did is I actually moved the bullish break line up above this. So I'm not calling a bullish break until we get above 40 on our bubble chart that's on our RSI. So until we get up over here over 40, I'm not calling this as a break to break out. Now you can see on your 12-hour chart right here, you guys can clearly see that we came up here, tested the 7 MA line, and there's a lot. Look at, there's on the daily you've got your 7 MA, on your 12-hour you've got your 7 MA, on your 4-hour you've got your 30 MA. See if we got anything on the 60. The 60's got a little bit above it. It's
testing 1 2 3.
Oh, you're alive. There you go. We got the chone.
Hey.
There you go. All right, so you guys can see that you have this. If this does break through this area, you know, our next target is going to be up here to test these other MAs, right? So now you've got a lot of resistance right here at 65.32. We're going to run through the charts. Let's pull up the 4-hour. All right, so 64, let's pull up to 12 hour, way up there. And the 1 day, way up there. And the 2 day, 64, 3 day, way up there. So if this thing does break, there's lots of room to go up here. You know what I'm saying? You got this 3 day candle right here. So if this 3 day candle does flip positive, right? This thing can flip positive up here on this 3 day candle. We'd be looking for, now this candle that's setting up on the 3 day, I tell you what, I'm not calling it a bullish and nor bearish candle. This candle right here is not bullish and nor bearish. But I want to point out on the 2 day candle over here that this setup right here, that we're having this inside. So you've basically got this red body inside of the green body. Now the wicks that overextend it kind of throw it out from being an inside bar candle. If this were an inside bar candle, this would be extremely bearish, right? So if you're looking at a 2 day candle setup, this doesn't become a bullish engulfing candle because the green candle isn't long enough. But that red candle that closed out, that is a tough candle to play right there. Chon, you got your charts pulled up, buddy? Oh, look, he does. Yeah. All right. Hold on a second, everybody. Hold on. Let me get his charts up over here. I'm going to give Chon a couple minutes to just kind of catch us up on what's going on and what he's seeing. And go for it, buddy.
Thanks, Vamp. Hello, everybody. Happy evening here. So I was getting a little caught up with what Vamp was talking about earlier, and brilliant as always. And, you know, I'm trying to find some bullishness into this, right? I mean, I almost feel like we're clutching at straws in some way because, you know, to find bullishness when we're hugging $6,200 for the umpteenth time, trying to basically defend that $6,000 region. You do see here our little channel here I've been following for several days. I'm on the 4-hour chart. We broke bearish from it, and our first test was very rejected. Our second test was actually able to get back into it and close above, and now on this 4-hour, which is only about 28 minutes into it, you know, we don't really have much price action here except being rejected here by our, looks like our EMA 26. So I'm still trying to find, okay, maybe there's something going on here. You know, we had our inverse head and shoulder invalidated by our bear dump here. We've been watching our RSI very closely to see if we can see anything going on here. We do see we broke out of this rejection of our line here I drew yesterday as it had supported the RSI on the 4-hour previously, broke below, rejected, and now we pushed a little higher. We're ever so clawing back to that 50 range. I like to be above on every RSI time frame, but the 4-hour especially, and heading into the daily. You know, we're not seeing anything in the daily other than kind of a reset of our RSI with our same price that we had a couple days ago. So I still see our RSI is extremely bearish. I see our stochastic, especially on our daily, like, you know, someone's really hungover after a day of heavy drinking because it's going up, but it's going up so slowly and so lethargically, if you will, where we've seen previous jumps are a lot more conviction and stuff here. So I only see this resetting of our stochastics on our daily as basically setting up for another rollover, further drop. There's nothing in this that tells me there's any strength coming into the market, and our OBV is showing something very similar where we're putting in lower lows on our OBV even though the price of Bitcoin is relatively stable-ish, a couple $100 here and there. You mentioned some of the crazy wicks we've seen. Was it on Kraken that had a wick up to 6,700? You know, in a low volume environment, these quick jumps in price action on some quick volume can be expected. These are called stop loss hunters, either on the way up or on the way down. It also can be kind of clearing the board potentially for something of a larger move that is being kind of set up here. Now, I want to bring up my my EMAs here. I got my 12 and my 26, and I'm just watching them from several different time frames, looking for that bull cross. And look at, we are right there on our hourly chart. Remember, we had our last bull cross here back on the 11th, where we had this really nice green candle. This was our bear cross on our low hourly time frame, and we haven't done it yet, but we're flirting with our next bull cross here. And this would add a little bit of Momo to push us kind of back into this channel here. Hasn't happened yet, and I would like to wait for some confirmation to this to happen. The last one happened kind of rather fast and after our big bullish move here. So even if we do bull cross on a low time frame like our hourly, I'm still not, 100% confident that that's kind of basically continue to push us higher here. I heard you, and I'll kind of end with this here. I heard you bring up the longs and shorts real quickly, and I just want to touch base on that. The unprecedented bullishness in our shorts here over the past couple of days here has just been really incredible to see how low they were. And I almost feel like in this area here, remember, this is where Bitcoin was at 8,500, actually a little before here. They were kind of not they were underestimating, I felt, the bearishness in Bitcoin being so low here. And a lot of this big move quickly, I feel, was compensating for that when they realized that $8,500 was held up with duct tape, and that's basically the fall of that created this nice push higher. Now on the 4 hour, we've been watching this for months. When are we going to fill this big gap here we had in the price action from our short squeeze back in April? And that would basically put our short contracts up to about 37,000. We're currently about 32,000 there. So I'm still watching for what the market does and what the price of Bitcoin does when, if and when, probably when, we are able to fill this gap in the action here. And charts like to fill these. I've noticed this on many charts when there's a gap in the past. A lot of this has to do with stocks when there's a gap in the open or the close. Eventually, it gets filled, where the price action in the future goes back and fills it. And then once that happens, that could be a bullish sign there, because basically that gap is filled in the shorts. They can now lower and sell off because the chart is complete. So this could be a bullish sign if we get our short contracts that far up. Right now, they're clearly frothy on other indicators as well. And I'd like to see them higher before I start talking about that short squeeze opportunity that we were kind of potentially setting up for in this circumstance. Until there's more conviction, you mentioned the big transfer of money of coin over to BitMEX. That is ominous. I know it definitely doesn't mean there's a big sell-off or a big, buy in place, but to move that much coin, it's something to definitely keep an eye on.
Yeah, for sure. No, so one thing I want to just bring up to everybody is just kind of looking at some of these screens that have closed out. So if you look at these two candles that closed out here on the 12 hour, so you have these two candles that closed down the 12 hour, you now have this third candle that started. Watch out for this. It's called a bearish 3 continues, right? So you had a bull, you had the red candle. The red candle then engulfs the green candle. So you see that here. You get a couple green candles up, and then you get a massive red candle down. So this to me is like a resetting of the indicators, which looks like what's happening here. So let's keep an eye on this. I also want to go over and take a look at one of my other charts. One of the other candle configuration charts that I like to look at. Give me 1 second. Let me go find it. And it's the I really want to see what's going on with the hell with this 2-day candle that just closed. Because this 2-day candle right here kind of looks... So here is a bullish hammer, right? So you can see these bullish hammers right here, right? Now, I would have liked to call this a bullish hammer, but it is not at the bottom, right? This is just not at the bottom. If this would have been a bullish hammer, it would have been over here. Now, these two tweezer bottoms right here were perfect. They were a great bullish setup, and you did get a bullish reaction, but it just went sideways, right? So here's your tweezer bottoms right there. There's your two tweezer bottoms. perfect tweezer bottom setup for a long trade, which would have been a long scalp, which would have been a great play. You would have been a $500 play on this, would have been a good profit. But I feel that it just kind of pooped out so quick that really ended up being an issue. And let me hunt down this 2-day candle still. I want to. This 2-day candle setup right here has me miffed right now because I want to call this an inside bar, but I don't. No. Yeah, see, an inside bar has to be completely inside of that. It just wasn't. I just don't like the body of that candle. I don't like the body of that candle being engulfed by the other, by the green candle. Yeah. Anyways, all right. So I want to have everybody just be very careful on here because this doesn't give me a bullish and nor bearish setup on either one of these candles. Now you do have the 8 trading above the 7, so this might possibly just scoot sideways for another candle, give us a red 9 that would be over here. But you know what we're all looking for is we want to see that perfected 9. So that perfected 9, if this 8 just drops out, get that perfected, get that 8, then get that perfected 9 a little bit lower, and then we'd be looking for that bounce. And that's something that I still think correlates over here with my RSI, and that's I really want to see my RSI chart to do the same. And I'm going to bring this up here. I want to see this RSI chart. Come on over here, and we're going to bring this over to daily. So here's your daily RSI, and I don't like this. I don't like this that we need to get down here. We're not oversold, right? This is not this is not a good sign, people. This does not give me hope for a bounce. This really doesn't. Now get down here, poke the line. Come down here and poke the line, and then we can talk about this, right? We'll talk about a bounce out of here, but this is not bullish at all, right? And even a small drop here, like this moving sideways, all you're doing is moving sideways right here. You're moving up in your RSI, and your price action is not moving up, right? So let's zoom into this real quick. And even though you got this absolutely insane candle right here, right, this insanely, if this candle was just right here, I would be longing the crap out of this. It would be an easy long trade, but it's in the wrong place. And this bull candle, this hammer candle is just 3 candles too late to be bullish for me, right? What this could be to me is a hanging man candle, right?
That's how I see it.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
This looks like a hanging man here. This does not look like a bullish candle that would take us to the next level. And what I'm expecting here is to see, you could have a little more sideways or a little more sideways and up action, but I still think this is going to come down here and we're going to test the 30. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at this daily, and I'm trying to find another circumstance where we put in something similar. And it's not a bottom hammer. I don't see it technically at a bottom of a trend, even though the wick did put in a lower low. I just feel that it happened in this sideways action here, and I like to see a bottom hammer.
Show them that other hammer that's over to the left there.
This one here?
On the bottom. That red 2 to your left, red 3. Go left over to July, middle of July 10th. There you go. There's a hammer.
Yeah. Because it happened in this.
At the bottom.
It showed
at the bottom of the trend.
At the bottom, and there's literally no upper wick, like no upper wick. That's very important when you want to do that, because I see something like this here which is a clear hanging man happening at the upper part of a trend. And this here is more like a top hammer, not a top hammer, like almost like a hanging man as well. So I want to see this as bullish because I do like the fact that the wick is long and stuff. As you said, I wish it was in a different place in this cluster. You're right. If it had happened something like on this candle or earlier, or if we got a bearish candle yesterday, as you said, and then something today brought down this wick and then a push up. And it's one of those things that if Bitcoin wanted to set a trap, it would do something exactly like this, making the previous day
scoot
candle,
over
which was really
left,
nasty.
like there. Stop. June 25th. So you see
Right
the
here? Oh,
candle,
this one here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you see that candle
Yep.
right there. So now,
Yep.
and that wasn't all that was just a resetting in indicators to drop low and close low one more time.
Mhm.
And I still feel that's something where we're kind of sitting at right now.
Yeah, because because yesterday's body was pretty tight, it would not be that hard to put a bullish engulfing in today's candle, and again set that trap even harder with kind of a back to back. This could be a
Mm.
bottom hammer combined with a bullish engulfing, which would only mean we got to go up about $50 more and hold that close. So that wouldn't be hard to make that happen with a little doji here. The differentiation, though, again, is we're looking at, just market conviction right now. I just feel it's just, are you serious? Are you really trying to tell me that this is the value place back here, even though we're by a couple bucks, where we're just holding our lows over here after this entire capitulation? I'm still pretty confident in this being a wave 3 and this cluster here being some sort of a wave 4, and we're just starting our capitulation wave 5 here, looking at these lower levels in play. And the RSI, as you just brought up, is what's kind of scary here, because you're right. We're just chilling sideways with a little higher, almost resetting this with a very similar price to Bitcoin. So this reset is very bearish because I'm not seeing this as the bullish divergence you'd want to see with a rising RSI and either a lowering price or equal price. Is because the volume really hasn't backed that up. And until every buy, every bullish move, like this one, until that stops being sold into, right now, this is the bears kind of capitulating and the bulls holding up. But on all three of these candles, it was the bulls failing to achieve something like that. So until we stop seeing these shooting stars in these candles here, that would give me a more bullish tendency. A candle like this today, with a nice green engulfing, but still kind of holding in this area, would allow the day after, I think, to set a higher base there. But you're right, with this RSI, using this sideways price action to go a little higher and reset makes me concerned that this is where we're inevitably heading to, that retest and break of 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. So let's go over and take a look at the, I'm going to bring up another chart here. Let me see where we're at here. Oh, man, it is trying so hard. All right, so let's go over and take a look at our, here's our MACD bubble chart, everybody. So let's look over the MACD bubble chart. So look, we did get past these danger zones. So we did get past the danger zones. You guys got to remember, though, once again, that getting up in here. So we are kind of in a pretty clearish little zone right here to get up. Now, we do have some stopping points. This is so right here. Right there. The next one would be, I mean, I still think that, you got to watch out because this can suck back and then flip over on us. Now, this didn't move sideways. It did get us out of this danger zone. This has, now, once again, I want to show you guys that how much look at how far this has gone here, right? So let's get a good idea. We've traveled a long way, a really, really long way. Look, so here's the bottom. The bottom is here, right? And we've continued to move down in price while this MACD has moved higher, right? So you see here, if you can go correlate that. Let me bring this just a little bit bigger. right? So here was your bottom, right? This is your bottom, and as you're moved higher, your price has clearly moved down, right? So we are coming up, and if we do come up and set ourselves up here, all this is and this is moving up, but it is bearish. This is bearish divergence. You're resetting this indicator to climb up to fall just one more time. And we've got to be aware that if we climb up here and we get up and it's these center points, because here you go, see this peak right here, climbed up right here, and this is just horrific fall. Okay, and it happens always in the core. The most dangerous place is in the core here of us falling out. Okay, so I want everybody this is dangerous. We need there's just no price action compared to the MACD movement, which is bearish divergence, right? We want to get something like here. Take a look at this. This was much more like it. Look at how far this ran up, the price ran up, right? This is great, right? And look at the MACD ran down and the price ran up. Okay, so we're having the exact inverse effect going on right now. So this thing can just keep running up and the price can keep running down on us. Okay, what do you got over there? Here you go. Ready? Go for it.
Yep.
Go
Yeah,
for it,
I
Chance.
agree with you on the bearish divergence that we've been seeing there on the MACD, where it was able to reset while the price was just kind of still farting around in this area here. A lot of this has to do with market psychology here and trying to see if there's value again in this price here. And I think the reason that we're holding in this area is because we talk about the defense of 6,000 in terms of the exchanges, in terms of the miners, and how important that is. We see our alts continuously bleeding out, even though Bitcoin is kind of holding in this area here. That's some fear in the market. That's people liquidating and converting to Bitcoin and then converting that Bitcoin to fiat. So that's precipitously now cycling through the market. And I think we're going to see this defense continue because I think the exchanges know what this really means to set a new paradigm shift of a break of our June lows into an area that could trap us for a very long time if we're unable to break out of it. All these major support areas that have held us up this whole time, as soon as they start to fail, they become instant resistance areas. We've been trying to find anything on the TD, and there's really not a whole lot that we're able to glean from that. It's still a lot of mid-cycle numbers here and a lot of half-completed counts there, so we're really not much to glean there. I do want to mention our BBs real quick just to get a sense of where we are here. Let me get rid of my chart graph here, and what are we showing? The 55. So what we're looking at here is our Bollingers, and we're clearly seeing that on our 4-hour, we don't like to break through. And when the Bollingers break on a 4-hour, and we're not that wide yet, but it's not that bad. You see, it only takes one candle to bring us back in. So this break, which happened last night or yesterday's candle, or early in yesterday's price action, was an oversold area of extremeness where you actually had a break of the oh, I lost the term. So you have now a resistance at our middle BB, a break of the standard deviation, which basically means an area, a move outside of where you want it to be. You see how the upper BB has held resistance. A breaking of our lower BB was quickly corrected by the price action. But now our middle one is causing our resistance here. And I think you can see a little differently on the daily how we're still extremely wide here, where this is a bearish turn down of our upper BB. Our middle is also bearishly turning down, and our lower one keeps going lower because our price is trickling lower there. So our low support now is down to $5,500, where yesterday it was almost $100 higher there. So this is still falling, showing me two things. Our rock bottom support, once again, on a really nasty fallout, is now around $5,500. And now our major resistance point, which I clearly feel our middle BB on our daily would be major resistance, is at 7,000 and falling. The last thing I want to take up briefly is our weekly here. Where we see how our middle BB was rejected. We broke above, and then there was kind of a bull trap there. And now we're kind of in this area here where we're falling once again. Lower support at 5,300 here. So there's not much between here where we are and somewhere between 55 and 53 from a BB standpoint that shows that we're looking for support. Now, we have not broken our lower BB on our weekly chart yet. We do see here where we broke above on our parabolic move on our upper resistance. Hasn't happened yet here on our lower resistance. And that is notable to me because that does happen, and that probably will happen. And so because we were able to hold support here, that caused us to bounce higher. Another test here might give a little support for try and bounce higher, but to talk about an area where it would be oversold, potentially time to scoop up some cheap Bitcoin, would be some sort of a break of this lower BB on a very high time frame like our weekly, which would be significant to me because that would basically be a move outside of the standard deviation and something we have not seen in a very long time, especially on the weekly scale here. Last thing I want to point out is our monthly BB, which always acts as support when it's first touched, was touched. I'm on the next chart here, but I find this is very interesting where we actually have found support at 58.50 on our middle BB. This is the first time in our monthly that we have touched it since our parabolic move. And I do expect this to hold and give some strong support for a while, because on a very high time frame like the monthly there, I do find that as significant. And I'll bring up one more thing here. Basically, another comparison. Our Litecoin chart did the same thing 2 months ago, where after not hitting our middle BB, it did find support. And for 1 month, it actually found very strong support above. But once that support failed, we see what happened next. So this pattern in Litecoin could be a precursor potentially of what could happen with Bitcoin, where the middle BB does act as some support initially and could be for several weeks, but a failure could make it into very strong resistance. And this could be almost a mirror into the future on Litecoin as to the direction that Bitcoin could be taking.
Yep. All right, good. So I want to, let's kind of switch back to the bubble charts real quick. So here we go. So the bubble charts are showing us that we have a bunch of danger zones. So I've adjusted the danger zone positions that we are moving into right now. I don't feel that this is a eminent drop area where we're at right where the MACD is. Or the next one. I do feel that we are looking for a substantial drop, you do have a lot of confluence, 1, 2, 3, 4. You do have a lot of confluence a little bit higher up. If it does fall out short here, at least we do see a couple zones that we can expecting it to fall from. But once again, I'm not expecting it to fall. Now, just because the MACD is moving up, once again, people, it does not mean that we're bullish in any way, okay? We're just looking for the next drop, and that's what's going to happen. This rarely does these absolutely parabolic runs up and down like this. Like, look at this. This just absolutely from very tippy top all the way to the bottom. I mean, what a long run this was with the MACD, just straight down. It doesn't like to do that a lot. Now, it did it back here. You did get a great massive run down here, but this was 2017 with the FOMO land, so this should be just, everything back here should just be labeled FOMO, right? Please ignore. Okay, everything forward here should be reality check, right? All this should be reality check. But right here, I am looking for this to come up into this middle core zone and then give us a fallout. Now, this could just be some sideways action for us for a little while longer, but I want everybody to be aware. You guys just got to be aware here of what the potential dump areas are for Bitcoin in the situation, right? Let's pull up one more chart. And so I want to come over here. I just want to make sure that everybody understands on the 2-day chart that we have 2 bear crosses, and also we have on the weekly bear cross is played out. Okay, now I want to, this top line is where you're going to have your most support, right? You're going to have a lot of resistance up here. I'm sorry, a lot of resistance. So our resistance lines, our top resistance lines are going to be our daily 128, which we've talked about over and over and over again. So we are below the 128 line, which is my, my Wizard of Oz, the yellow brick road. Okay, we are below the 128, and as long as we sit below that 128, we are bearish. Until we break this 128, we're then bullish, right? This 128 line will, to me, determine the end of the bear run, and it will usher in another golden era of a bullish and or sideways movement, right? Now, you remember, after our bear run ended in 2014 and 2015, it was a lot of linear action, right? It wasn't a parabolic move. It was a lot of linear action, but it was linear and up. So I just want everybody to understand, even if we do drop down, it will possibly take some time for this to pull back to 10K, whatever it is, where 20K, whatever people are thinking, wherever we do find the bottom, this 128-day line will be acting as our bull and bear guideline. So we are below it. I expect to stay below this. This is why I do not expect to break this line again. I have a hard time thinking we'll break this line. The only way we will break this line again is with more bullish news, like the ETFs getting launched, something along that line, a war occurring, which is bad news, right? Economic meltdown, which is bad news, but possible. So there's a lot of things on the horizon that are actually, I feel, good for Bitcoin. We've just got to get there. We got to coast through. My biggest warning sign with everybody is just take a step back right now. I have a lot of people that come to me. You guys got a lot of, it's a lot of horror stories. If you see me working on the charts during the day, a lot of times, guys, listen, I am out there. I am pulling up charts for people who message me and say, hey, I'm in a lot of trouble, Chris. Can you help me out with this coin or that coin or this coin? And, I get on and I'll pull up a chart for you. I do. I don't want to see anybody trapped in a really bad situation. Right now, when we have a guy who's, trapped in ADA and he's just wondering, now the ADA got the Coinbase pump, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shown, so you got the Coinbase pump here, and then it's just fallen out of the sky. Now it did come down. Now we do have a last support line. So the last support line, if you are playing ADA, is 87 cents. Okay, so I do think that there's just one more drop down, and then we should get a bump up. You do have some resistance above here, so you're looking at some resistance at what's that, $1? Wait, that's 8.7 cents, right? So you're looking at 12 cents. So you've got some resistance up here at 10 cents and 12 cents. So now you are forming out on the 3-day a really nice bullish candle. Let's see if that bullish candle works out. This 2-day, now this is bad news right here. So this 2-day did create an engulfing bearish candle. Okay, so if you are playing ADA, let me bring this up for you real quick. Let me pull this. Where is this? And all right, hold on a second. Let me drag this chart over for you. All right. Ooh. Nope. Nope. Okay. I am wrong. It is actually a bullish candle. So you have a bullish setup trying to set itself up here on this 2-day. You've got a bullish inside bar candle that's playing out on ADA. Right, so look, you had the 9 came down and bled. Now it is trying to set up. Now you've got 48 hours for this to stay in the pocket, right? But it has to stay in the pocket for 48 crypto hours. So in crypto terminology, that's like 6 months and 4x. Okay, so this is a eternity that this has to stay inside of here to give us a bullish run back out of there. So I would keep an eye on ADA over the next 48 hours. This might turn into a nice little bullish scalp right here if this can hold. Now, if BTC does break, you're going to come down here and you're going to kiss my target, right, which is at 6.7 cents. And you're going to break your last support, and you're pretty much going to break the camel's back. ICX, here's our old chart on ICX. This was really your final support right up here for ICX. ICX has found a new lower low. There's your daily chart right there. You did get a nice hammer yesterday, so you got a great hammer candle on ICX. This is bullish. If I was playing ICX, this does have a possibility to give us a little bounce here. Look at that. There it is. So it does have a bounce potential to get back up here. This is a great bullish candle to play right here. Let me go over. I just want to change this out to white. And I'm gonna move this down to here. So you've got some really good, and this is a great bullish candle. Wow. And there's resistance. And really hopeful would be to get back up here on ICX, right? So great daily setup for that ICX candle. Let's see kind of how that plays out. All right. Let's pull over to BNB. All right, so BNB is on, so your weekly BNB has got to like pull a magic trick out of the hat here in the next, today is Tuesday. You've got a bear cross up here on that is forming on BNB. BNB is taking an absolute beating. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go over to Chone. Chone's got his ICX chart pulled up. Go for it, Chone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to you, and I agree in terms of the. I mean, you say the bullish thing. It's everybody has to realize this is very short term. If we're talking about,
a bounce,
a
mini
bottoming
bounce,
hammer,
mini bounce, yeah.
These are about scalping people. So these are about putting in a trade and expecting to take a couple percentage points, maybe. These are not long calls by any stretch of the imagination here. And I was looking at a lot of these, actually. I kind of started looking at ICX and ADA on the weekly chart, and we're just noticing here, like on Binance, we are on ICX on the USD equivalency. We're setting in new lows here. There's still a market price discovery going on here, where we have a USD lower than our actual ICO price on Binance when it first came out at the end of last year. We see where our lower BB could act as support, hasn't even been touched yet, and that's basically in the negative area there. So my point in all this is we're looking at comparatively oversold bounces setting up. We're looking at comparatively areas here where you'd expect some sort of a relief rally, but all of it is based in this larger context of kind of this whole bearish market as a whole. Now, of course, a Bitcoin running bullish could definitely change that, but we've seen kind of a tale of two cities there, where Bitcoin running bullish can suck all that money,
Yep.
From Bitcoin, and not necessarily have that transfer into the alt. Just a quick look here at BNB coin here. Let me go to the daily here. So this is the Binance coin, and we've been watching to see, I think there's more of a longer term trend line here that we were watching to see hold. And this one here. And then when it failed, we obviously had our really nice back test, which we love to see. And that was a major resistance line. I actually remember putting a tweet out about that watch to see if this can break through, because this line of support was huge in our nice bull run up here of BNB. And now it's failed. Now on the daily chart here, we see our 200 MA was broken. That's a major support area there. So to break it, you'd expect to see the price shoot back up there, which is what happened. We touched it and held support briefly on a couple of days ago's wick, but now that we've broken it, this red line here, folks, is going to be major resistance. And that's bad because now this price action is playing out all these bear crosses here on my EMAs I like to follow, kind of still in progress here. So there's nothing good here. I don't like the fact that we were unable to hold this upward trend. We could be putting in some sort of a decent sized head and shoulders here. It really needs some time to play out. And remember, these head and shoulders here, these aren't the most prettiest things. It's rare that you kind of find something very beautiful, like three perfect triangles here. But there could be clearly something like this playing out. Let's see if we can find support here around this area of you know, but let's just play this out here. Let's just say this is something that is going to play out, and from a headline, you know, to a neckline where this could potentially bring the price in a bearish scenario, and that's bringing us kind of to this pre parabolic move area here, which is interesting because that would literally coincide with a complete reset of this entire chart. Now, this won't happen in a day. This could take a long time here as we go into the fall, but be wary of this pattern here. We saw something very similar on Ethereum, as I recall, where it had its big last move, put in another right shoulder, and then quickly sank. This is setting up to a very similar Ethereum chart and potentially could play out the same way.
God, that's just ugly. Yeah, I'm just setting my support and resistance levels right now on BNB, and $6.05 would be a low side target for me. A next low side target for me if this broke the. So let me show you guys. So here you go. So here's if so you've got your support of your weekly 50 MA right there. So there's your support. Easy to mark that out. Let's go over. So look, see this little teeny tiny red dot? That's actually the 200 MA, which Chon has on his chart. So you've got your 200 MA at $8.13. Chon, is that where you have yours?
Are you on the 2-day?
That's on the 2-day.
Yep. There's a little red dot right at $8, a hair over $8. It's funny. It's actually it wicked out almost at support there when that showed up.
Yeah, so you're talking $8.30. Yeah, $8.11. Yeah, really close like there. So you, and this is the 2-day. This is the 2-day 200 MA. So there you go. You see it came down exactly, wicked out right there. Let's go over and look at our 3-day. No help. So now our 3-day has turned into, this is actually resistance. So if you're playing BNB, there's your resistance point right there. So I would use that as my resistance.
Yeah, the 100 MA is holding resistance strong there.
Yeah, so I would look at the confluence zone. I mean, you got a lot of confluence all right in there. So I would have that whole zone as your resistance zone. Then we're going to come down to the 12-hour, see what we got on 12-hour. Oosh. All right, I want to see the daily candle. Great hammer candle on the daily, on the 9. Great hammer candle on the 9, which is a good hammer, good reversal candle. If this thing were to bounce here and to get a 1 to 4 day run up, this would be your run up target right there. So I'm going to get rid of this. So let me just zing through this and look for some bearish crosses. 3-day. Yeah, there you go. So your 3-day. So you've got a lot of problems coming. So I would say by the end of the week, you've got a massive death cross. So one, you've got a massive weekly. Got a weekly massive death cross. I would say then number 2 is you have a 3-day. Death cross, which will also play, you know, I'd get that 2 to 3 candles, 1 to 2 candles. So those are both very, very bearish. Now, if you look at your 3-day candle that's still sitting, it's got a whole day left over. This is an absolutely insane hanging man hammer candle. So you've got a nice hammer
Mm-hmm.
candle. If it can hold this out for the next 24 hours, or come up here and make some kind of wicked, like hanging man doji, kind of a candle right here, this would be a really good reversal candle. So I would keep an eye on this. Now this is all gonna, the thing is, it's just timing. Because when this crosses and when the weekly crosses, this is just going to get a kick in the pants right back down the drain. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've got, it's all about timing. You just got the price. So right now, this is a race. So it's a race to beat the death crosses. And you've got what? So it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. You got, just call it 5 days. Right? You got three, yeah, I would call it 5 days. Right? So you got 5 days to get back up here. Get a little bit of love maybe out of this if the price action doesn't just completely tank on you. But if the price action does tank on you, then you get the bearish cross on top of it. You're going to be, my next bearish target would be down here. My next bullish target would be up here. If we would get some kind of a little pop, and I would be looking at this 100 MA also coming up here and give me a little resistance. Okay. All right, so there we go. There's that. What do you got? Let's do, okay, let's take a look at IOTA. Same thing, just turned in the same kind of, so we got a lot of these bearish, bullish hanging man candles. Listen, everything's fallen so far. It really has. I mean, things have fallen so far. They need to reset a little bit. I mean, I can't even imagine where these are at. Do you have ETC over there?
Yeah.
Pull
Sure.
up your ETC chart. I'm going to have Chone do ETC with you. Now, I do have my ETC chart pulled up. We did have the weekly death cross. Just a lot of bearish stuff. I did expect the retrace here. Now, the retrace was higher. If you take a look at this 7 candle, absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous daily. So you can tell I haven't looked at this chart in a couple days, right? So here, look at this gorgeous. Now I did expect for this to bounce off here. It did bounce. It definitely bounced higher on ETC. You do have, here's your resistance. It's super easy to see. So if this does get up here a little bit higher, but this is a beautiful bounce right here. You can expect this, this could move sideways-ish, up-ish for the next couple days. But this was close. This was good. I mean, I did expect a bounce here. What more could you ask for out of that particular candle? Now, we got to be careful. I would expect for 1 to 2, maybe 3 more candles if this can hold up here, a little sideways action before it tanking down, okay? So I will readjust this because I was close. So now I'm going to move my arrow and like 2 to 3 days, if this thing did go bullish for 2 to 3 days, it would do something like this. And I know there's a lot of news for ETC, so I'm going to give that more of a possibility for an up. Now, look at this. This came down, bounced off the bottom here, hit my target almost perfect, right? And then now it is bouncing, right? So this to me would be an E wave right here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me go over here and slap in my E wave. Right, and right, 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. So that kind of looks like that, which would then be followed by that. All right, there we go. All right, Chone, all you, buddy.
Yeah, so a couple things. I remember talking about this last night, and I did a fib from pretty much like 60 cents all the way up to 47 bucks where it topped off, which is incredible to me. And look where we found support. We found support right at the 78% retrace level. So we were looking for that. We were actually talking about that last night, and sure enough, we wicked out right under it there, which was about $10.50. And as you said, we put in a really, I think this is actually a better looking candle here. Now, notice I'm on the daily here, and notice similarly when we popped up really bullish, how far we were above our upper BB, and then how we broke super bearish, how low we are on our lower BB, how wide they are, and on a daily chart to be this far underneath, similarly to how we were so far above. This was an oversold area. This was an area and a candle volume outside of the standard deviation. And sure enough, the next day, today, we were able to pull ourselves back up and now back into our lower BB, also holding that as support. This nasty move, though, has caused several bear crosses to still commence and has brought our red MA200 on a steeper path down, which will act as very strong resistance if we're able to get back up there. We're on a red 8. It will not be hard to put in a red 8 today and a red 9 tomorrow, even if we put in some sideways action here or just a little bit higher, because we're definitely below 1, 2, 3, 4, our 5-day candle here, which is at 13 bucks. So it'll be very easy to complete this 9 candle sequence. Probably won't be a perfected 9 because we'll be higher up in terms of a price probably if we keep this sideways action here. But yeah, I agree with you. We're probably looking for some stability and some sideways movement here. Our middle BB is at $15 and falling. I just want to look at our 4-hour here. Same deal. We broke through. We actually did have a 9 there, and now we're putting in a little 3-day pop, a little 3-candle pop here. Number 3 candle on our daily here. But look at that. We're finding our resistance line. You go auto here. We're finding a very strong resistance on our middle BB. And that's interesting because this is where we want to find support above if we can break through it. Now, our upper BB is at $14. So this middle BB, first touch, will always be rejected. I think we'll kind of play around with this for a little bit longer. You want to see it close above it, and then we can definitely start talking about our upper BB as a nice place to strive for. But we have to get through some EMAs if we wanted to do that. So this is a reversal based on, I feel, a pretty nasty oversold condition. Remember, Coinbase took on Ethereum Classic. It was kind of a disaster where, if you think about it, it ran up before this area right here at 20 bucks was literally when Coinbase announced you can start to transfer your ETC to your Coinbase wallet. It's currently only available to trade on the Coinbase Pro, and that was the top. And then ever since it's been on there, we kind of had this nasty move here. Remember, it is the cheapest coin available now on Coinbase. Litecoin is no longer the black sheep there, but that doesn't mean there's any value here. Remember, this was under $1 at some point. It had its big parabolic moves, given a lot of that back. The fact that we were able to find support at the 786 initially is encouraging, but like we've seen with so many coins, this initially support eventually does break, and we start putting in those lower retracements back in play. Yes, this is a vicious pullback from 40 bucks, but don't think by any means that there's still value here. We're holding this area of historic price history, a break of this area, which was, we were here for quite some time, September to November. So there's a lot of history there. It will take some time to break through this. I don't expect this to happen overnight. I expect another little bullish push and get rejected off our EMAs here. But a failure to hold the $10 range clearly puts something like $8 back into play, and that corresponds with this top off here, and then this test of this lower wick here around $8.40 back in September. I see that as a clear next support zone, but because we have tested and held our 786 for now, this should hold for some time.
Yeah, I'm looking at mine and I see a lot of support. You know, right there, there's a lot of support right there at the $9, right where it touched $9 at the $10 mark. You know, if it does break that $10 mark, I don't even see that even that support right there. I see the next support at a little bit lower, so I'm going to flip that over. So here you guys go. So here's kind of where we're at right here. Let me pull this off. here's where we're at right here. If you come down right here, this is kind of where there's the last bit of support is where this wicked out. Right, so you can see all the support that we have right here. Now breaking this support, I'm not jumping up and down for joy that this 7 will hold. I actually think I have this red line right here. I have a support line a little bit lower down in the $7.60 range. Now it could come down. It could, bounce off this wick where there's a little confluence down here. But I think really the 765 would be a better target for me, historically speaking, for some support. Now, if you look at let's go over here. I want to add the 88 here. So let me add the 88. And it's 0.88. Okay. Oh, and you get better select it. How about that? Come on, Vamp. There we go. So look, there you go. So there's my next target down lower with the 0.88. You're talking $6.20. If this does all break down, this is kind of where I would be. And then the lowest low I got, just like Chone said, is going back. Well, not the lowest low, but you see here, boom, 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 coming all the way across would be $3 BNB. Now, here is an issue. BNB is owned by Binance, right? This is Binance's coin, right? And these guys can print as many of these puppies as they feel like on any given Sunday.
You're on Ethereum Classic.
Oh, sorry, ETC. Sorry, on ETC. So ETC, if this does break down, you're going to go all the way down to $3. Sorry, I was still thinking BTC, BNB. All right, let's jump over to Ether. We're going to jump over to ETH really quick. Let's see what we got here over on ETH. Look, ETH had a nice little 9. Very nice little 9. Had a little, we came down, hit the targets perfect. I mean, I couldn't have called this baby any better. Hit this baby absolutely on the money here. You see, I did have some targets where this would bounce to. So my targets are over here on Ethereum. We did bounce up to our first target. This was good. And so that's great. We bounced up over to our first target. I do have a second target, which is a little bit higher, which is getting up here to the 303 if we can make it, right? So if we can make it up here, we'd be nice to get up here and hit the 303. So this was good. I like this. This is a perfect bounce. Look at this candle. The candle that played out, absolutely money. Great inverted hammer. I'm sorry, great hammer candle. Very, very bullish candle. Unfortunately, at this point, it is, and I say this all the time, I do not think Ethereum leads Bitcoin. I think Litecoin leads Bitcoin. And that is, I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to hold that. And I still believe that. And I'm still saying that Litecoin is what is leading the pack. It is not Ethereum. I don't have any good news for Ethereum. We did get a nice bounce. I would look to 1 to 4 candles to pull this back up, flip this into a green 1 if this could, and then watch out for more down action. Now my low side on Ethereum, I have 2 low targets. One of those low targets is right here. It's at $195. Breaking that, I see Ethereum down here at 170 and lower. All right, Chone, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, I agree with all that. You talk about the bleed out on a red 9. This is like a bloodletting here. I don't think I've ever seen that many candles after a red 9 has commenced. Notice here once again a break of our lower BB, and a pretty vicious one has pulled the price back in. This is a very nice looking bottom hammer. Again, it's where you want to see it. Like the Bitcoin one, you didn't want to see it in that cluster there. This is a very nice looking bottom hammer, and you see how really low our daily RSI was. We actually bottomed at 18. We probably went a little bit lower there because there's no kind of shadow that's left there. So we probably went a little lower and retested our April lows, which were also at 18. Now you see what happened the last time we did go down there. We had a little kind of inverse H&S here on the RSI, and that really shot us up higher for a nice bullish run. Whenever we get into our really sold RSI areas, we do expect to bounce there. So it is a nice move there and a nice play off this kind of bloodletting here. But as Vamp said, it's a long haul to get back up here. We have several EMAs and MAs that are now kind of act as resistance. You know, you really did not want to break $300. And when that kind of happened there, you had a lot of that kind of capitulation move. So I wouldn't be surprised if a retest of 300, which corresponds with our middle Bollinger test on the 4-hour, which is right around 297, would be in play. That would basically allow some of our indicators to reset, especially our RSI, which is just on our daily super low. Our 4-hour has been able to kind of poke its head back above 30, which is great. But remember, we want to get above 50. And as you see, the last time we got up to 48, the price of Ethereum was strongly rejected here. I just want to really quickly touch base here on ETH BTC. We are at an extremely low pairing here. I want to go back to, we'll go really far back here, and I'm going to get rid of my TD for a second here and my BB. And you basically see here that we are in a, I'm using Coinbase as an example here. So this is where our ratio topped off. We had our little bounce there, and now we are basically back to this cluster of price history here. Everything can still be pointing to putting in or at least retesting some of our lows we had potentially from a ratio standpoint back in December. Now remember, this was a ratio because Bitcoin went super bullish and Ethereum just kind of stayed put. This is a situation here where Bitcoin is dropping and Ethereum is dropping with more conviction. On our weekly here, we do see a nice little bottom wick is forming. Let's put in a bullish bottom hammer on our weekly candle, and then we have something interesting here on the BTC pairing, and more than just a daily, but this move has caused a lot of these bear crosses. My overall point in looking at the BTC pairing here, there's nothing to show any kind of bullish divergence yet. Bitcoin falls, Ethereum falls faster. We are out of the lower BB here, but they're not as wide as they were in a circumstance like this here. So they were able to get a little tighter. And this move here is a very bearish move here where this upper BB will eventually begin to curve around, and that will even show more bearishness there. So we're seeing nothing from a divergence standpoint that shows that Ethereum has lessened its demise. And if you brought up the point where a Bitcoin back down to 5,500 or 5,000, I don't see why Ethereum would not follow in suit. Last thing I want to say is on our weekly first touch here of our lower BB, we always expect the first touch of a major support line to hold, and it is doing just that. Our 100 MA is now acting as resistance though, so we're basically sandwiched between the two, which is good. If you see the price fall really viciously through our lower BB on a very high time frame like the weekly, that could be a very interesting oversold situation and potentially a buying situation, similar to back up here when we broke very bullish outside of it. This was the notion of the top.
Got it. All right, give me 1 second here, just kind of finishing up. We're going to jump over now to let's do Litecoin. Sure. Go for it, buddy.
Yeah, I'll start with this tweet I actually put out. We talked about this earlier, and I want to start with kind of what had happened previously with our BBs and our Litecoin interaction. And I think what's so fascinating here is we talk about areas where you want to hit and you want to test them as support. And when we first touch our middle BB, remember, we're all running on the assumption here that Litecoin's demise is moving faster and kind of leading the way and showing a precursor of what could potentially come with Bitcoin. So we see we held on our very first touch of our middle BB. The next month, we broke it a little bit, but came up on the bottom there. But we did put in a bullish move here. So this shows after a first test of our middle BB, a bullish move of some sort can be expected. But you see what happened with that bullish move. It became kind of a shooting star there. And now our middle BB on Litecoin is acting as very strong resistance. Bitcoin, as we talked about earlier, has just for the first time touched our middle BB. And again, first time you touch a major support area, normally it does hold. We are seeing that, but could what we have seen in Litecoin be a precursor where maybe in September, Bitcoin does something like this, where it has a little nice bullish pump, and then it gives it all back, and then the next month it fails to hold the BB and breaks through like we saw in Litecoin. EMA 55 would be our next support here at $38. Ignore the lower BB here because it's obviously negative, so we don't have to worry about that. We're so very wide here. This is so extremely wide. This needs several more months to bring these Bollinger Bands a lot closer. Real quickly on the weekly chart here, we do see here that we actually did touch our lower BB back in June and haven't touched it since. And because of that, I kind of been expecting another touch. Now, currently on our weekly, our lower BB is finding support around 40, and our middle BB is finding a strong resistance still over 100 and falling rapidly here. So there's still bearishness here. We did have a nice $4 pop in the price. I think when you break $50, that was kind of a shocker to the market here. We broke it by about 80 cents, and that produced a very nice. You could argue this is a better looking bottom hammer than Bitcoin put in there, and this actually may hold some stability. And we can kind of see a pairing here of our BTC ratio. Remember, where this is Litecoin is now 0.08% of the valuation of Bitcoin. We broke through our lower BB on our daily. Doesn't like that. Trying to get back above, and has. But nothing has changed in this pattern here. And very quickly here, last thing I want to talk about is if this last move here, like a 1, 2, 3, and then we're kind of putting some sort of a 4 to correct, maybe there's a chance we're putting in some sort of a fifth wave after that. I just want to briefly kind of pull up some sort of a fib here and just get a little sense here of what kind of retrace we're looking at and where we've found support. And yeah, so we're basically kind of found support above the 2618, and we want to get back up to 58, which would be a very strong resistance here. So I see a climb to 58 is possible, and that would be very strong resistance. And I see our next support levels somewhere between $47 and then as low as $43.
Yeah. All right. So, very similar. So I already had the fibs pulled up over on my chart. So same thing, came down, bopped off the last fib right here. And, we got this nice bounce off. Now, we do have a lot of resistance above us. So I show the 7MA right here at the $50 range. The next level up, you're basically going to be going up into your fibs. So it's the 1618. I expected us to actually get up to the 1618 previously. Now it didn't happen. We did get a small bump up, so we went up to $61.40. I did expect us to get up higher. I expected us to get up here to $65, so I was off by $1 and something. Now looking where we're at with this bounce right here, you see we have our first resistance level there. I still have this as my, it's probably going to be right down here. If we can get over into here, it's possible to get down here into the 62 range. If we squeezed out a wick, maybe to get up here to squeeze out that. But then what I would be looking for is this would reset us to a green 1. So I'm waiting for this to reset to a green 1, which then would give me my easy drop down to my next targets. You see 35, 31, $26. So everything down here is ugly. This is kind of what I'm looking at. Going back to one of the things we talked about earlier, if Bitcoin does run, alts will not run with it. Okay, alts will not. People think that when Bitcoin runs, alts are going to run with it. That is not the case. It is not what happens in this situation right here. If Bitcoin does take off, I would look for alts to kind of stay stable. If not lose, they would actually die quicker because people would be sucking up. They're going to see that the alts aren't taking off right away. They're going to see Bitcoin take off. They're going to dump their money into Bitcoin. As Bitcoin get a run up, let's say it's 66, $6,800 on some kind of a run, and people will be dumping into Bitcoin, which will be bleeding out the whatever money is in their alt bags pretty quickly. Last one, let's go over here and take a look at EOS. EOS is a pretty, one of my nice coins. I do like to play it. I do love. So came up, look, there's my cheat line right there. Came up, bought my cheat line. I had a little more hope that we could get up here. Look, we came down, threw in this 9, started over at a green one. We started our red count all over again for EOS. EOS is just a whole lot of ugliness. The good news is EOS is at $4.70, which it did get a nice bounce off of, $4.20 range. So we did get a little bounce up here. Let's see if it can hold. I want to actually peek at the higher candles right here. Look at that amazing daily candle this thing printed, right? Now, this is the kind of candle you really, really want to see when you're playing for, to do your scalping. Like if I was scalping, this is the kind of candle I would like to see as a long scalp. Your resistance is still marked. It's still above. It's still $5. To really get a run out of here, you're talking $5.60 would be a really good takeoff. And I'm going to just peel down here. I'm going to go down here, see what do we got over the 2-day, no crosses. 3-day, the 3-day already happened. Weekly, yeah, so there's our new weekly cross. So we do have a brand new weekly cross that's still playing out, right? Every timeline is bad too here. So this is the other thing. You go down here, like you did get this 9. This 9 did bounce off on the daily. If this did flip up just a little bit higher, this would flip to a green 1, which would be really bad because then it would give you a new start over. Look, your red, your 12 hours, not even close. 4 hours, look, there's your 4 hours. So there your 4 hours. Your 4 hour flipped on you, came up, found the resistance line. There's your cheat line right there, the little dots. You got a lot of resistance above you, right here in the $5 range. So we got to be really careful playing out EOS here. It just I would be looking to open up shorts on EOS if anything. Go for it.
Yeah, brilliant. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm doing some fibs here. I'm just trying to figure out. I agree with all that. There's really nothing good looking here about EOS. This retrace here, I'm basically seeing from an extension of this down wave 1 here, or this down wave. If there's some sort of A, B, and then a long C correction here, to do a 1-to-1. Ratio of that would basically put the price somewhere around $2.75. The 786 area was actually acting as support here for a couple days, and then it failed to hold. I agree with you. Yesterday's candle is nicer. It's almost a dragonfly with a very small, tight upper body, very tight, almost flat, with a very long bottom wick that's bullish. We also do see we actually found the support there in our lower BB on our daily chart, and a nice little continuation here. But because our 786 was held and then broken, I see that as resistance. So getting back up to $5.48 would try to be a good first step. But if we go into a lower time frame here, we just auto out here. We see on our 4 hour, we constantly keep seeing this, how our middle BB is acting as resistance. It did it here. Once we broke bearish from it here, it's basically held all the way, and we wicked out when we broke above it here. So this might flirt with this for a little longer. I want to see a 4 hour close above our middle BB, and then we can definitely start putting that $5.40 range back into play, currently where our 55 EMA is parked as well. So everything is kind of pointing to potentially a little more of a bullish move here. But as you said, Bitcoin goes, and so goes the nation. So if Bitcoin starts to turn bearish again, EOS is not going to find any help. Our stochastics is still very bad, and our RSI is still, even though we're having a little move here, still in the dumps. Until you get over 30 here, there's nothing bullish about this here. I just want to quickly touch base on EOS BTC pairing. Very similar there. We basically did bottom out at a lower daily RSI than we ever have put in. We bottomed out at 18 here. Oh, I take that back. We actually matched our original bottom out there when, oh yeah, interesting, when the actual coin ICO'd there. And again, looking here, our lower BB was broken. Price shot back in. We have gone a longer correction in this move than our first correction there. So we're basically finding support at 123% of that actual first move down here. So this is an extended C wave, potentially just finishing up here. And again, my first target to find any kind of a bullish divergence here in EOS BTC would be somewhere up in this 9,000 Satoshi range. But right now, just the $5 as just a rock solid area, and anything kind of above that will act as strong resistance. And as you said, if Bitcoin does decide to turn bullish, there could possibly be some coins that will follow along with it. However, I agree the majority of alts will basically bleed as people want to pull some money out of those and put it potentially into Bitcoin if they have any more money still in these alts here. But yeah, again, a Bitcoin breaking 6,000 will not save EOS and will bring it down the overall market here. So this bounce definitely is noticeable, but could just be temporary while Bitcoin decides what it wants to do next.
All right, we're going to do one more. Actually, let's go. I'm going to let you do your BTC. Why don't you do BTC for us, buddy, okay? Because you missed that earlier.
Sure. Let's pull up my Bitcoins here. So a couple things here. So we're just going to start with our simple.
Chon, one more thing. Could you just get a chance? The futures close tomorrow. A lot of people are asking some futures questions. If you could just go and answer a couple of questions about the futures real quick. People are saying it's kind of holding up bullish for tomorrow. I'm not too versed on that.
I'm not too versed on it either. All I can say is what I've seen in the past. And you're right. Well, I shouldn't say that. The last time I believe we had a futures expired contract, I don't think anything happened in the price of Bitcoin. I remember we were watching for something to happen. I don't think the movement happened. The previous one, excuse me, I remember there was a lot of volatile. Now, these futures contracts are basically, you take these and you have to wait till the contract expires. So big whales, big money players who have a bet one way or the other want that bet to play out. So they're going to do everything they can to kind of prop up the market if they've gone long, or to drive down the market if they've gone short. So yes, we've seen circumstances where the market and Bitcoin kind of holds its breath and kind of stabilizes until the shorts do expire and those contracts can be, closed out. Just to mention something about the CME futures, we had, oh, it filled. Look at that. Okay, so interesting. So we wanted to see this gap in our CME futures prices filled. It had been there since July. When we, beginning of July there, when we actually broke very bullish there. And I was looking for a price to fill somewhere between 59 or 19. And sure enough, on our candle yesterday, go to our daily chart, you can see it better. We were able to fill that gap. And I said earlier in the show, gaps definitely like to be filled. So this is great. This gap here is filled and I can erase it. Now, on the bullish side, we still have this gap at $6,800, and we have this gap at $7,200, which are still open and which I expect at some point in history will be filled. So this lower gap being filled is bullish sign for me and is significant because it's basically held open for a little bit of time there. Every other gap in the history of the CME chart, going back, this gap, this gap, this gap, I've looked at them all. They've all been filled except for these two right now, which suggests that there'll be some point where the chart and the price of Bitcoin will have to fill this. Now, does that mean that it's going to be this run where we can get back up to $6,800 and then basically get rejected, or even a little higher, get up to $7,260 and get rejected? It's very possible. But remember, once this gap can get filled, and that would be a bearish signal there. But because we filled this one here in the bottom, that's important and that's bullish. And you see how the futures closed out in the day yesterday with a decent lower wick there. But as was said, tomorrow when these actually do expire, we could see some volatility play out as I don't know. I wonder if that has anything to do with kind of that big move in Tether.
Actually, there was the big move in Bitcoin, the 18,000 BTC that got
About
moved.
18,000. Right. Yes. Bitcoin.
I mean, you know what? One thing I do
So
see is I see the whales are wrecking whales now. That seems to be the game. That's the way I look at it. I look at it as if the whales are actually out there wrecking other whales, because there's no money to take from us. Right? There's no money to take from us. It's just all the money they have left to take from is from other whales. So I feel it's the whales gutting each other.
It's a good point, and that kind of signs a scene of capitulation eventually, wherein if the big boys are fighting, then bigger blood is going to be spilled, and that could yield some volatility, some bigger volatility than we've been seeing in quite some time.
Yeah. So, all right. So why don't you go ahead and finish your regular Bitcoin thing?
Sure.
Go for it.
So once again, I keep watching this little channel here, and again, look at that. We cannot close above. Now we are halfway through this current 4 hour, and we are above it on our 4 hour, but you can see on our 6 hour, we are above as well. But we're right there. We're trying to hold this lower resistance now, again, turn support. So I'd like to see at least a 4 hour and a 6 hour close above here. That would give me some hope for another continuation. Remember, our middle resistance channel as we go higher here brings us potentially to about $6,500, retesting this previous area here of price history. RSI is slowly climbing out of the doldrums here. Does not mean, though, that we're getting more bullish sentiment in the market, because the price remains at an area where the RSI used to be lower. We now have a higher RSI, the same price there, but low volume. So I'm not really seeing this yet as any kind of a bullish divergence. And actually, we're basically putting in clearly some sort of a rising wedge now in our, look at that. Where we broke it here, we came back in, and now it's testing as support. So again, this is a bearish formation here. We definitely can use those on indicators. Still a little bullish uptake in our stochastics there, but nothing great. And we actually, we did have a little bullish bounce here, ricochet on our MACD. Remember, this is a trailing indicator here, but we're still in this negative zone here. So any pump higher, as we talked about earlier in the show, can reset these indicators to just allow them to drop further while the price basically remains the same. Let's see, we talked about, the candles weren't showing us much, the TD wasn't showing us much, and we did see that we were able to find support in our lower BB when it was rejected, but our middle BB is acting as very strong resistance. Let me just briefly look at my cloud. Oops. There we go. And let me go on my daily chart there. And similarly, once we broke out there, we couldn't follow through. Still looking for a cross there. Let's look at our 12-hour here. Yeah, we had a bear Kumo cross there, and we had a bearish TK cross as well. So cloud still showing bearishness until proven otherwise. Our TDs are showing bearishness until proven otherwise, and just our lower BBs is kind of what's holding the price right now. And I keep watching the volume, because you're trying to see, like, look at yesterday's volume here. Very big candle. This is a 12-hour, very big 12-hour candle here, red, but a decent bottom wick, but still our body was definitely a little bit longer there. So keep in mind that even though the daily candle was very red in terms of volume, our lower wick symbolizes a lot of this was bought up, and that should be kind of a sense of a bullishness, at least short term here. But we need that follow through with volume and with conviction, and just like until the market can choose that any bullish pump is not going to be sold off, it's kind of keep doing that. And I just want to hustle back real quickly here to our Bitcoin shorts, because I think this is really the only thing left that can give us that kind of nitrous jet fuel addition to the price, to the bullishness of Bitcoin. And it's something about filling the gap here and creating potentially another all-time high in our short positions that could potentially induce another short squeeze scenario. But we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. This will probably take the rest of this week to play out.
All right, excellent. So, listen, everybody, we have been rocking out these videos, and they're so long. This is another 2-hour video. So, listen, for me and the Chone, we're gonna call it a night. I have got to go out for the wife's birthday tonight. We got dinner coming. So, awesome job, Chone. Thank you very much for coming on last minute. Listen, people, we have some very, very exciting announcement. We'll probably make it tomorrow. So we have a super exciting announcement tomorrow, and we'll probably let everybody know about the announcement. We're excited about it, and so it's bringing another super amazing thing to our channel, just making our channel that much better. So we'll let everybody know what's going on tomorrow. It'll probably be tomorrow we'll make the announcement. And but for today and for all of you guys out there, please just trade safe today, okay? Just to let you guys know on what we are doing, we have been loading shorts on our side, looking for a little more down action. I do feel we have one more down leg. We do have our stop losses, which you guys should have your stop losses if this comes up and does break over the 6,500 range. Now we are using our bubble charts, so our bubble charts do help us a little bit more in the members areas. So the members are able to watch those bubble charts live. So we are watching very closely to see if this sucker, tries to break over the our bullish run area, right? So it's like, I know our bubble charts are quite messy, but they have proven pretty good. So let's just be careful out there, all right? So we're very close to doing a bullish break. Just to give everybody a heads up, we're really close to getting some kind of a bullish scalping opportunity. Let me be a little more specific, okay? So if we do break up over the 6,300, I do feel that we do have an opportunity to pull a nice little scalp. You know what I'm saying? You could scalp a little bit, have fun with some longs, maybe pick up some alts for a nice little scalp. But other than that, the 2-day candle does scare me because we did get that cross. Even though in the history in past, getting that cross still gives you an upward momentum. I still see that upward momentum is still possible, but it not a bullish run in any means, more of a bullish scalp, resetting the indicators for one more one more dump. All right. So from the Vamp and from the Chone, say goodnight, Chone.
Good night, Chone.
From the Vamp and the Chone and everybody at the Until 1 Million channel, please do me a favor. We got a bunch of likes on this video. Let's slap up a bunch more likes on it. Go to the Chone's page. Give the man some love. Give me some love on our Twitter page. Thank you all so much for being here. For the Vamp and the Chone, we are out.